Hey, I want to welcome everybody here. We got a really nice full program tonight for everybody. We're going to say a few words, do a prayer and a pledge, say a few more words, and this is going to be one of those eating deals. So you're going to be like eating half the time tonight. So if you could, just kind of keep it as quiet as you can. But we'll go on lockdown. We don't want that canteen and everything. But before we get too much further, we have a marvelous chairperson of this committee that's worked really hard and long and worked hard for us, and she's the chairwoman of the committee here, and she helps us a lot. And I want to welcome Angela Gottwald to come up here. And welcome everybody.
Welcome you. Welcome to McShin's 14th Annual Spring Awards Banquet. My name is Angela Gottwald. I'm a board member of McShin, as well as chairwoman of this event. But I am also the mother of a son that suffers from substance use disorder. I, like so many parents, never thought my family would be affected by this disease until we were. Addiction does not discriminate. Addiction it doesn't care who you are or where you live. No family is immune from this disease. Since we discovered my son's illness, we have experienced countless rehabs, recovery centers, and sober living facilities across the country. Not until I met John Shinholzer and the staff at McShin did I feel that anyone truly cared about my son and his disease. From the day we walked into McShin, we have been embraced with love, understanding, and untold amounts of patience. As most of you know, McShin was founded in 2004 by John Shinholzer and his lovely wife, Carol McDade. John and Carol saw the need for an authentic peer-to-peer recovery center in Richmond, and since their doors open, have helped countless individuals reclaim their lives. Keep in mind they do this with no federal funding. In the state of Virginia alone, there were over 3,500 deaths attributed to substance use disorder in 2016. That is over 3 times the amount of people that died from gun violence in that same year. 3 times. Think about that. That's a huge amount. Even one death is one too many. Together we can put an end to this terrible epidemic. Together we can and will end the stigma attached to substance use disorder. Thank you again for joining us as we come together to honor those who help us save lives and heal families. Enjoy your evening.
Before we start eating, we're going to ask Sheriff Hines to come up here and give a blessing. And Sheriff, he's the closest thing to a preacher I could find. If I get struck, I'm thinking too close to the Sheriff.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Let's just take just a moment and give thanks. Dear Lord, we thank you for everything you do for us each and every day. We just thank you for the many blessings you provide to us. We ask you to be with us. Help open our hearts, open our minds. Help us each day be better people. Be with those that need your services. And Lord, please be with those that are providing those services. Help us to become more understanding. Help us become a little more vocal. Help us in all of our efforts as we continue to help those that need it. And as always, before we enjoy this meal, we would ask a special blessing on our armed forces, on those that provide the safety and security for us to live our life as we see fit. So bless this food to the nourishment of our body and us your service. Amen.
Thank you, Sheriff. Before we do the pledge, I do want to point out we got some elected officials in the house. Of course, Sheriff Hines is the elected sheriff of Hanover County. Delegate John McGuire is here with the, where you at, Johnny? In the back with the 55th floor. Let's go there, but thanks for coming out, guys. Sean Davis is on the Board of Supervisors in my district with Hanover. Sean, where you at? Sean's also going to work his way up front and do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Sean, now be the time. He looks different with the beard. But while he's working his way up here, this program at the Pamunkey Regional Jail may not have happened without the assistance of Sean and the sheriff. These are two people I think that really helped get this thing launched the last time they launched it. Anyway, Sean.
Would you stand as we pledge?
Sorry. Take a picture of me back.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quietly each of them, but Sean will say a couple words.
Thank you, John, Carol. First of all, welcome to Hanover, John and Carol, obviously, Hanoverians. So besides having the privilege of serving as the chairman of the board, John and Carol are also constituents, so that's a great honor for me. John has my cell phone number, so y'all know what that means also. But I remember my first run in 2011, John said, look, I'll do a fundraiser for you, but I got to clear it with my wife. And Carol said, if you redo the kitchen or paint the kitchen, one of those, then we can do a fundraiser. So that was the first thing I delivered was a painted kitchen, so I got used to bringing home the bacon. I just want to thank McShin, I certainly want to thank Sheriff Hines and Colonel Willett. Right now, the best drug treatment program, the best recovery program in Hanover County is in our jail. In one sense, we're really proud of that great effort that's going on there. In the other sense, we have a lot of work that we need to do with the community services board, get those folks to understand, change their minds on how they deal with those whom they're supposed to serve. But I can tell you now, you can't just leave it to John. Everybody knows John is out there. He's a bulldog. He's got the biggest heart of anybody ever met. And I don't think there's probably anyone in this nation who's done more for the recovery community, I mean that, more for the recovery community than John and Carol. Yeah, here. How about you guys? But you know, when John and Carol and all these folks go there to D.C. or John goes to places throughout the nation, and they say, hey, I represent all these people behind me, we need to make sure that we're standing there behind them. So when they look behind and say, all of these folks, that's what's important. That's what's important to legislators, that's what's important to policymakers. So John, Carol, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. I can't thank you for the impact you've had on our community. We appreciate not only the partnership, but your leadership. We love it.
Like I said, this is going to be one of those rolling evenings where a lot of people will be coming up to say a few words. But our chairman of the board, John said, now that he's got enough for the food, that'd be a good time to invite him up here. John's been on board with us for the last couple of years. He's seen us do some incredible growth, and his tenure's coming to an end. We got a new vice chair going to take over soon. But John, thank you so much for your effort and work. Food swallowed up.
I just want to say thank you all for coming out this evening and supporting this effort, supporting the work that the McShin Foundation does. I'm coming, he's up on the board a couple of years ago, like 8, 6, something like that. It was a little more painful for me than it was for you. But anyway, I'm coming to the end of my term as the chairman of the board, and I cannot express the gratitude that I feel from Carl, John, honestly, and the whole McShin family in the support that they've given me while I've had this tremendous opportunity to serve as a board chair. You know, as organizations grow, and McShin has grown tremendously over the last few years, I am proud to say that we as a board have made preparations. Some people decide to go on and do some other things, and to bring on new, strong, excited leadership. So, as I always say every time I get up in front of a group talking about McShin, it is truly an honor to work with the organization and a group of people who are healing families and saving lives every day. Thank you.
Now, y'all keep eating. One of our first executive directors here tonight, Daniel Payne, his wife over here, say hi, Daniel. He led us through the first few years of McShin growth. Daniel's excited to be here because he could walk. He only lives a couple blocks from here. So one of the reasons we had it here to make sure y'all could come tonight. No, but actually, I will point it out to the supervisor, Mr. Davis, that one reason we had the banquet here was because it's the Hanover Award. We wanted to bring commerce and revenue to the county, so you appreciate that, I know. Honestly, Lillard, our CEO, is going to come up here and thank our sponsors for this event. That wasn't that time. One time I will follow this sheet tonight. Big hand for honesty.
Hi everyone, I'm Honesty Lillard, and I'm a woman in long-term recovery from a substance use disorder, and what that means to me is I haven't used drugs and alcohol, gosh, in almost 11 years in May, God willing. It's an honor to be here. This is a great crowd. I would like to thank Alden standing in the back. Alden! This is a beautiful space, so if you need, weddings or anything, please see Alden. She'll hook you up with the people here because it's gorgeous. So without the benefactors and the sponsors for this event, this wouldn't happen. And we had awesome, amazing, again, Alden and John and everyone killed it this year. So thank you all very much for all of your hard work. So I just want to read off some of the benefactors, and there's information throughout the tables as well. Banyan Treatment Center is our grand sponsor for actually the whole year for the McShin Foundation. Banyan, you want to raise up, stand up, hi, Courtney. We love her. She brought her people knowing me today, so that was a treat for us, especially Alden. Van Stoyce and Associates, Carol and her awesome family and friend and her team over in Washington, D.C. Basic Auto Sales in Hanover Sports Park is somewhere over there, Mary Hummer. I went there yesterday and hit golf balls, by the way, so let's get some McDade, thank you very much. And the Rueger family as well. We love them. Banquet sponsors, Widespread Solution, Daniel Payne and his wife Mackenzie. So let me tell you, this is a tiny little version. So I came into McShin, I had nothing. A couple bags of clothes. I didn't know how to stay off of drugs. And Daniel and his wife Mackenzie gave me a chance all those years ago. I didn't have my daughter, she was 5 years old, and I started nannying for them, their 1-year-old Jack, and just shows you how much recovery is what it's all about. They entrusted me with their child, and I was cleaning them stores, digging ditches. I was telling them in group today all about it. So that's Daniel, and many of you were from group today, of how he took a chance on me, and I slowly got my life together. So again, thank you. I wouldn't be here without y'all's leadership for real. Cichowicz Recovery is here today. If you want to stand up and raise in the back. Angela Gottwald and the Gottwald crew. She's got the most fashionable kids, man. They're the cutest little things ever. Kathleen and Quinn, Dusty, Mikey's mommy. you anyway. Beacon Tree Foundation. Oh my gosh, I didn't see you. Oh, how are you? Okay. CBS 6 as well back there. They do amazing stories, not just about the attic stealing from the Home Depot. They do awesome recovery stories and showing what recovery is all about. So I really hats off to you. Thank you very much. And Elements Behavioral Health. Are you guys here? Yeah, there you go. Hey, thank you. So that's all of them who want to do the rest of school. Sure, I like to do it.
They make fun of the way I talk, man. You know, y'all keep in, they're gonna bring the real food out here in a second, but, well, you know, the balance of the food. But, you know, we got, I asked all my Pamunkey L unit grads to come up here. You know who you are, come on up here. I just want y'all to give a word of, gratitude for Mr. Willett, the staff at Pamunkey Regional Jail, and all those that were involved. I know there's more than 2 of you. One over there. But these cricket, we'll let you go first. Come here. He came all the way from California. He's been clean over a year. He ain't been locked up in how long now? Dang, so that, you know, we got some proof here, living proof.
So I'm Chris West, and most people would call me Cricket. Most everybody I know knows me by Cricket, but you know, some of you guys know me as something completely different, a career criminal and a recidivist. I mean, and the truth is, like, that's what I've been since I've been old enough to get incarcerated. So I found out when we were giving you guys the Bronze Award this year, and I was like, oh my God, that is crazy, man, I gotta be there. You know, and I spoke to some of you guys before this. In and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. I've got like 56 arrests on my record. 56 arrests, and all 56 were drug related. Either possession of drug, driving under the influence of a drug, stealing to obtain a drug, or running from my probation officer because I knew I was going to take my pistol. Like, that's 56 arrests, you know, and I think there was 7 of them were felons. So I wanted to go to another program at another jail. I turned 18 the same year to put Monkey Open, so like I got to grow up with you guys. And we didn't have a program there, you know. We didn't have a behavioral modification, we didn't have a substance use program, and I needed to address both of those issues because I had some behavioral issues, and God knows I had substance use disorder. It was kicking my butt, man. So actually, Major Hopkins was a captain then, and she allowed me to go to another jail that had a program, and I did well there. And then I got out and I didn't apply the things that I learned there. I got out and got incarcerated because that's what I have the most experience in, is getting locked back up. And I came back and I sent her a request form, and I asked her if I could go back to that jail. And she said, you know, Chris, she said, I got some good news. We could send you there, or we're getting ready to let the McShin Foundation come in and start off a program, and we'd like to offer that to you if you'd be down for it. And I had heard of the McShin Foundation, it had in America, you know, but I didn't know much about it. But I knew I heard about it. I knew y'all had been around for about, 13 years at the time, 12 years. So anyway, I went in there. I was one of the first inmates to move into L Unit. I got to be the lead inmate in there. John came to court with me. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He came to court with me. He told the judge something I'd never heard before in my life. He told the judge that he believed in me. He told the judge that if I did the things that I had been doing while I was in L Unit, that I would succeed in life, and he believed in me. And So I got out, I moved, and I didn't go home. They wouldn't let me go to my mama's to pack my stuff. They had everything packed for me before I ever got released. And I moved into a recovery house at the McShin Foundation. And within a couple of months, I was working there. And a couple months later, I was the reentry specialist there, dealing with people just like me, you know, getting out of jail, wanting to do something different. And I was their point of contact. You know, to find a path to do something different. And I got to run the program that saved and you know, I won't save my life, but changed my life. And it's, God, I tell you, man, statistically, what is it? We decreased recidivism by almost 41%.
Well, depending on how you count it, I count 41%, but they count 20%.
You know what, either way. Well, either way, 22%, 41%, I don't know. I know this. I've been getting locked up and arrested my whole life. And since January 5th, 2015, when we started this program and I got released in August, I haven't been arrested since. And I'm really glad to be here for this. Thank you.
So my name's Justin Ray, and like John had mentioned, I'm a past participant of the McShin program in Pamunkey Regional Jail. I was incarcerated in Pamunkey for a total of 18 months as a result of my addiction, charges that I accrued in active addiction. And you know, I had heard of recovery before. My parents were both alcoholics and they were both sober for decades when I decided to choose the path that they had gone down before and warned me against. And so, you know, I had gone to meetings before with my father, but I didn't want anything to do with recovery because I didn't know how good life could be in recovery. All I knew was what I was used to. And so when I found the program in Pamunkey, I ended up staying in that program for 10 months until I was released November 14th, 2016. And I too have not found it necessary to go back to jail since my release date. And you know, I'm extremely grateful for the McShin Foundation because when I got locked up, I had nothing. You know, I grew up in Baltimore. I moved to Virginia to try and get away from the people up there, and I ended up finding new people because I take me with me everywhere I go. And so I didn't have any family that I could go and live with when I got out. I destroyed all my relationships with any friend that I had ever made down here. And so the McShin Foundation took me in upon my release with literally nothing. I had no money. They scholarshiped me into one of their recovery houses. And I ended up staying there until I was able to get on my feet and to build a life for myself. And without the McShin Foundation and finding out about the organization in Pamunkey Regional Jail, I don't know if I'd be here. I'd probably be in jail again. Because that's all I knew. Like, I would get out and I would run from probation and I would, you know, start using drugs and alcohol again, and I'd go back to jail inevitably. Because, you know, there's three things that are guaranteed for an addict: it's jails, institutions, and death. And so, you know, I've done the first two, come close to the third one a couple times. I don't want that life anymore. You know, I did have a relapse after my release, but I have over 4 months clean again. So, and that's all because of the Recovery Community Organization, the McShin Foundation, because I knew, like, when it got bad again, I knew where the love was, I knew where the help was, and I went back. And I said, look guys, I need some help. So, you know, I'm truly grateful for everything that Pamunkey has done for letting the McShin Foundation bring that program in there. And, you know, I'm just grateful for the life that I have today. So, thanks for letting me do it.
Awesome volunteers that goes into Pamunkey every week and shares hope with the guys in Pamunkey. And he has a couple statements from the guys that are in the program right now. I'm going to read a couple. I get the opportunity to go every Tuesday morning to be with these chicks in jail, and it's the most fulfilling thing. I've been doing it for a year now, and it's pretty awesome. John's like, you need to go to the jails. And I'm like, okay, let me try to fit that in. And every Tuesday morning, I look forward to it because now we have 13 girls, you know, females in that program. So thank you so much. much. And they are blossoming right in front of my eyes. You know, dealing with women in a confined area can be hard as well. But I just want to read a couple of things that they wrote to thank you guys for having that program. And I want to personally thank you because we're women power, you know. So I have tried many programs before, and none of them I have found can quite compare to the way I feel about the McShin Foundation. The personal growth I have been able to achieve not only with my recovery, but with my self-esteem as well. McShin has helped me see that I must not only change the way I think, but everything else must change too, if it puts me at risk of relapse. I want to thank Pamunkey Regional Jail for allowing me this opportunity to have a safe environment to work on my recovery on the inside. Jenny Love. And Cassidy wrote, I want to thank Pamunkey Jail for allowing McShin to be a part of the jail here. Having this program here has allowed me to start working on my recovery and taking a look at my behaviors that led me back to jail. The more people know about addiction and recovery, the more people will stay sober because it gives us a glimpse of hope for our future. So again, from the bottom of my heart personally, it's very fulfilling for me as a woman in recovery to go in there and to help those women. So I want to thank you very much for that. You got
Dear John and honestly, many of us have been addicted to drugs and alcohol for most of our lives. We had no hope, no happiness, loss of friends and family, branded as junkies and misfits. Thinking life was over due to addiction in jail, and in many cases, multiple times in jail. We would not be able to live in society. We did not know when we entered Pamunkey Regional Jail, we would be introduced to and have the opportunity to enter the McShin Recovery Program. Many of us wanted and needed. Many of us wanted to enter the program because we thought it would be an easy way to spend our time here, and that there would be better perks.
No, not better.
Boy, were we surprised. You didn't give me a chance, John. For the first time, some of us faced structure, rules, and consequences, feelings for others, and direction for a better way of life. We have learned to never forget or regret our past, as that is the way to our future. We will be able to give back to our community because of our past. As recovering addicts in the McShin Trinity program, many of us have come to realize that we have only scratched the surface with our individual efforts of fighting addiction. We have been introduced to a new way of life. We have been given a thread of hope. Programs like these are vital to fighting the war on drugs by giving back to the community, helping inmates, and by holding a futuristic perspective, stopping the future addict. Our children will play a role in the new generation and what's best. We believe that coming together as a recovery community in jails and prisons is not only improving and saving countless lives, but also reducing, I can't say the word, thank you, rate and criminal activity. Standing alone to fight addiction in our society is indeed a poor problem-solving strategy. Coming together like the Pamunkey Regional Jail and McShin Foundation with education is a better solution to fighting this epidemic. America has admitted that we have a problem. However, it is imperative we take the necessary steps toward making recovery accessible and affordable. Many of us at the Pamunkey Regional Jail McShin Foundation program now have an understanding of what we are committed to as a recovering addicts, thanks to the Pamunkey administration, the McShin Foundation, and the amazing group of facilitators that take their time to come to work with us. We as inmates in the program owe our lives to the system of recovery and to those who paved the way. Thank you, Pamunkey Regional Jail, the McShin Foundation, and facilitators. It's signed by LPAW. All members of LPAW wrote this letter. Ms. Gottwald, I 100% agree with every single word you said. My name is Braxton Collier. I lost my son to the disease of addiction in September the 8th of 2014. Ever since that time, and actually prior to that time, I have spent an incredible amount of time getting educated, which is the key to this disease, working through the McShin Foundation, and as a facilitator at the Pamunkey Regional Jail, which I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to do. I absolutely look forward to going there. These guys are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. You heard from two of them tonight. So thank you, McShin, and thank you, Pamunkey, for allowing me the opportunity to give back after what I went through and my family went through with the disease of addiction. Thank you.
I see the real food coming out. You know, a lot of us, how many of y'all felons, convicted felons? You know, it's hard to get a job when you got a felony conviction. But did the man in the room, Barry Moore, you can, where you at, Barry? Huh? I'm down. Oh, he left? Oh, wow, man. All right, well, Barry was going to come tell us about how he hired people. And Barry goes to a lot of trouble to hire folks and try to get people back in the workplace. And that's important for him. So, let Barry know we brought it up and we talked about it. I'm sorry he had to leave. What, he didn't have a name tag or something? Anyway, moving right along here. I got to check my schedule. Oh, I know. Honestly, going to.
Moving along. First, really quick, if you're a volunteer at McShin or staff, if you could stand up, I want to personally thank you guys for all your hard work on what we do every single day. So we're going to introduce our speaker. He is Luke Wallet, from former NFL player with Banyan Treatment Centers, the New Orleans Saints, right? Yeah, something like that. So we would like to introduce Luke, and he's going to talk to you guys about his personal journey, with recovery and addiction. So welcome, Luke.
You're the only one.
Thank you. You can go up there.
You got people out there.
First, I want to say hi to my brother Scott. I'm Scott stand up. I got sober with Scott down in Florida, back here. It's a beautiful way down there. How God chooses to connect people and put people in each other's lives. And Scott was a big influence in my sobriety and my life today. So thank you, Scott. So it's a blessing to see you. I love you, brother. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. My NFL career was not very long. It's tough to be a heroin addict or an NFL football player. It doesn't usually end well. But First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for saving my life and giving me opportunity to spread His message of hope and love. I want to thank John Schulholzer and the McShin Foundation for this wonderful event. You guys did tremendous good for the city of Richmond. I had the opportunity to come down and tour maybe a year or so ago, and it's really a first-class operation what you guys do, and where your heart's at and where your motives are is purely incredible. And as a young professional in this field, you're somebody I look up to, so thank you. I would like to thank all of you who already partnered within the Richmond recovery community. I myself am a product of your collaborative efforts. My journey in sobriety started in Hanover. How God worked, I didn't even know I was coming here. I got sober at Williamsville Wellness. And a couple days ago, Courtney said, come here. My flight gets delayed today. I'm at a Motel 6 I'm sober asking for hourly rates. And I get here at 6:30 and she texted me the address. It's Hanover, Virginia. I mean, praise God. Praise God. Beautiful. I would like to thank one of the fastest growing treatment providers in the country and my employer, Banyan Treatment Center. It's an honor to wake up every day and represent a facility that's progressive, clinical, and family-driven, giving people their best chance at recovery. We are located in 4 states, offering a wide range of specific driven programs, including residential mental health. Last, I would like to take a moment of silence for the 15 people who lose their lives to drug overdose during this 2-hour event. A little about me. My name is Luke Waller, born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio to a loving family. 10-time record holder in 3 sports and Hall of Fame member at Poland Seminary High School. 3-time All-Conference football player at Kent State University. Picked up by the New Orleans Saints following the 2014 draft. College graduate, brother, son, nephew, cousin, friend, employee. This is where it gets interesting. Heroin addict, alcoholic, compulsive gambler. My journey into the health addiction started with tearing my left MCL my senior season. A projected draft pick, I was not willing to miss the remainder of that season. I would take 2 Percocets before playing Penn State. That game I had 15 tackles and what I thought was the solution to all my problems. The pain medicine helped with the physical pain, but what I soon realized is it eliminated the emotional pain. The insecurities I had, the fear and anxiety of the NFL, the depression of the injury would vanish when the drugs hit my system. My dreams quickly turned to nightmares. By the end of the season, no longer able to get my hands on pain medicine, I tried heroin for the first time. A couple of innocent bad decisions would snowball into full-blown addiction. As you can imagine, it didn't end well. By the following year, I was homeless. Like many in recovery, there's usually more to the story than a bad decision to use heroin. I've been blessed to work with many individuals and their families who struggle with this disease. I've heard countless times the girl who was raped at 12, who started drinking when she was 13. The war veteran who watched his platoon blown to pieces, started taking Xanax to block out the pain he relives daily. Or even the athlete who tore his MCL, took 2 Percocets, so he could see his 16-year dream become a reality. Faced with the facts, no one would call these people cowards, losers, or junkies. No one would believe these lives aren't worth saving. We live in a time where depression, anxiety, and stress are at all-time highs in this country. The number of people incarcerated are at all-time highs, and the suicide rate is at a 30-year high. I believe we are only witnessing the tip of the iceberg that is preparing to sink an entire nation. With the explosion of social media, materialized morals, and a false sense of what true happiness is, we are raising the next generation to fix internal problems with external solutions. With that said, to quote Eldridge Cleaver, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. I stand before a room filled with prestigious and accomplished individuals. all of which are blessed with unique and God-given gifts. I challenge each of you to take your gifts and use them for good. I challenge each of you to think outside the box on creative ways to use your gifts. I challenge each of you to partner your gifts with someone else in this room. I challenge each of you to give your gifts away. My challenge starts tonight with the giving of one of these following gifts, all of which each of you possess. And I made it easy for you. They all begin with T. Give your time. Time is the ultimate gift that is underappreciated until none is left. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we paid for a service in which it didn't meet our expectations. We promptly demanded a refund. This is absolutely ridiculous, unacceptable. But how many times are we guilty of wasting our own time? How many of us don't meet the expectations we set for ourselves? Have you ever demanded a refund from yourself? Time is the most precious gift from God. Use it wisely. Give it away to loved ones, give it away to friends, give it away to people who are struggling. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. The power of an open ear is undervalued and many times a barrier to a blessing. Second, give your talent. We all walk different paths, acquiring unique tools along the way. Some God-given, some crafted over many years, and some forged through the hardships of pain and suffering. Individually, we are nothing more than a drop in the bucket of life. Collectively, our talents can make a lasting ripple in that same bucket. Last, give your treasure. Many of you are blessed to have used your talents to make money. Combining your resources with someone else's talents may be all the difference in changing our country, changing your city, changing their life. Tying these all together, I would like to quote a swan lyric from the great urban philosopher Macklemore. He says, "They say you die twice. Once when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is the last time somebody mentions your name. So when I leave here on this earth, did I take more than I gave? Did I look out for the people? Did I do it all for fame?" I think these are all fair questions to ask ourselves. We all have the ability to change lives well after our time runs out. What we do with our time, talents, and treasures determines our true death. If you have never been affected by this disease, I pray you never are. The reality is there is more pain to come, more families to be destroyed, and more precious lives to be lost. The actions by individuals like us, coming together for the greater good, can be all the difference in saving millions of lives. It may be your daughter, your husband, or your unborn child doesn't know he or she will be an addict. In closing, thank you all for your time. I look forward to working with many of you. I pray for all your successes and whatever that looks like to you. Go give away your gifts. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace and love. God bless you.
I always knew I was big enough to be an NFL player. All right, listen up. We're moving right along. Don't forget you in a meeting when you're supposed to be quiet. Y'all got to eat silent, all right? Don't make me come table by table. Our keynote speaker tonight, she is a politician. I'll give you that right out front. And I love politicians, I really do, especially when they've never been elected and they run for office. So then I take it to a whole new level of acceptance. John McGuire, he knows what it's like to come in my office and run for a seat. So does Sean, you know, he come by the house. You know what, I had to pay my kitchen rent. It cost me money. But Abby running for office here, and I'm talking personally now. I'm not talking as a president of the foundation. But she come in my office and she's running for Congress in the 7th Congressional District, which used to be my district, but I've been district out because of the gerrymandering. So, but I said, look, you know, I like the guy in the 7th. He's been good to us. He actually has a bill in Congress right now that can really impact us in a tremendous way. So I did tell Abby, look, when you speak, you need to point out that no matter who wins, you still gonna make sure that bill gets passed. You're gonna treat us all equal. But I'm gonna tell you something special about that. But the truth is, I really like both these people. So I don't really, personally, I don't care who wins, I love you both. If you can get the nominee to get that far. But I said, before I donate to your campaign, you're gonna have to show me you know what time of day it is with addiction and recovery. And the only thing I knew to tell her was, here's a copy of the Anonymous People movie. You go home, you watch it. You come back, you take my quiz. And for every question you answer right, I'll give you $100. And I'll put $1,000. Fair enough? She said, sure. So she must be a college graduate. So she must have watched the movie 3-4 times. She come back and I started quizzing her. Now I ain't doing no easy questions here, you know, I'm asking the tough questions. And it's like The Price is Right. I never seen nothing like it. This woman was like, I mean, she'd be jumping up and down, pulling her hair out, slapping her knees. She even rolled on the floor one time. She was so close to the answer, but missed it, you know, and like it destroyed her, man. Oh my God, I missed the answer. But of all the politicians that ever, Johnny, next time you come ask for money, it's gonna be my new criteria for all politicians. They're gonna take my test, and they're gonna earn my donation by answering the questions. But out of a possible score of 100, she got 7 out of 10 right, which was damn good. So, is that what you got? I think it was. And she probably thinking I left money on the table. It was good. But anyway, I love and admire this speaker. I really do. I think once you listen to it, you understand where I'm coming from. Politics aside, awesome individual. We're so glad you could come out here and be our keynote speaker tonight. So warm welcome to Abigail Spanberger.
Well, I might have to shuffle through my papers because you kind of stole my speech. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this event. Thank you to the hosts, to Angela Gottwald, and to everyone joining us this evening. My name is Abigail Spanberger, but you can call me Abby, and I'm a candidate for Congress in Virginia's 7th District. I first visited the McShin Foundation last year. I had heard about the organization, and I wanted to see firsthand the community work and the impact that McShin had been able to achieve. As a candidate, one of the first and most frequent questions that I receive at the meet and greets across our district is what can we and what should we be doing about the opioid crisis in our community? And I've heard this from parents and students and law enforcement officers and community members who are worried. And as we watch the news coverage, as we see the statistics, we know that 1 in 7 Americans is expected to develop a substance use disorder. And every day, more than 115 Americans die after overdosing on opioids. Now, I'm a former CIA officer, and I'm used to understanding complex issues and asking and answering questions. And I worked overseas, collecting the information that would answer the toughest questions related to national security priorities, to allow our policymakers and the president to deeply understand an issue and find the best course of action. And so I set out working to understand how substance use disorders affect our communities, how our community is facing this crisis, and how I might have an impact. And this quickly led me to the McShin Foundation. I called the McShin Foundation on a Friday afternoon to introduce myself, and I spoke to John. I asked for a meeting, and John responded, "Can you be here in 20 minutes?" I couldn't because I was headed to a meet and greet, but we made plans for a visit early the next week. But this conversation and John's response, "Can you be here in 20 minutes?" on a Friday late in the afternoon, gave me my first impression of McShin. And I would later come to understand very clearly that time is of the essence when working to provide recovery resources. And John's inclination to be available when someone needs help is deeply ingrained in the way McShin works. So a few days later, I went to McShin and I had a long conversation with John. I met people who had come through McShin, I met people who were in recovery, and I heard incredible stories. And I am so personally grateful to those who share their stories because they allow people like me, they allow community members, lawmakers, would-be lawmakers, to understand the depth of the crisis, to understand how substance use disorders impact families and individuals and lives. So a few weeks later, I went back to McShin, and we were discussing the 2 documentaries that John had given me as homework, and he started quizzing me. So he gave me a couple softball questions. What's the color of recovery? How many people nationwide are in recovery? And I was waiting for the hard ones, because I had spent time diving into the numbers, understanding the comprehensive nature of this crisis, listening and reading about the causes, community impact, and the legislative and legal efforts to address this crisis. But John looks at me on one of the questions and said, what was the name of the girl whose mama was talking about her? And I didn't know. I remembered her story, how she developed her substance use disorder, her mother's efforts to help her, the stats and the details related to the opioid use in her area, but I didn't remember her name. And I initially protested slightly. John, don't you want, this is my then when I was rolling on the floor. John, just kidding. John, don't you want to ask me about the details? I know the stats on this. And John said, but that mama lost her child, and what matters most is that you know her name. And in that short sentence, John provided me with the most profound lesson that I have learned on the campaign trail. And that is behind every detail, every statistic that I learned, that I need to know, that I want to know. There's a person. There's someone's friend, someone's parent, or some mama's child. And I do need to understand what has been happening at a federal level so that I might impact our community, so that I know what to fight for and work for when I'm elected. And I'd be happy to get wonky and talk about legislation with anyone. But right now I do want to focus on the incredible work occurring right here in the Richmond area. And we're here tonight to celebrate that. We celebrate the Pamunkey Jail, whose leadership has recognized that we can't arrest our way out of a crisis. And when record numbers of incarcerated Americans suffer from a substance use disorder, it's time to do something within our jails. And their work in helping people find and sustain recovery impacts not just those in the program, but the safety, the security, and the quality of our communities. And they are saving lives. And we're here to honor Kelli Tuck, Erin Mayberry, Michael Quinn, and Jillian Nye, who lead by example of their recovery. They've experienced challenges that are unimaginable to me. And through their strength and example, they show what recovery can be. And others across the country can be achieving with the help of organizations like McShin. We are here to honor Angela Gottwald and Jill Cichowicz and Beverly and Herb Rueger, who through their work and service with McShin provide support, raise awareness, and work to honor the lives of those in recovery and those within our community who have been lost to their substance use disorder. And we are here to honor Robert Murphy, who after losing his own son, now encourages men within the McShin community through trips and outings, sharing his own story and learning the stories of those working to sustain their recovery. And this is what a recovery community should look like. It's people helping other people. It's the personal connection. It's honoring the individuals and recognizing that people facing a substance use disorder or fighting to retain their recovery are individuals. They are someone's friend, someone's child, someone in our community. And if given the right help, if given the support, they have so much to give back. This past winter, I attended the McShin silent auction. As my husband Adam and I perused the items, we started a conversation with a lovely gentleman. It was typical small talk at first. We talked about the weather, how much short pump has changed in the past 15 years. And then we turned to McShin and the event. And he said with a sense of deep reflection, you know, I used to think that people could pull themselves up when they're down. But now I know that some pits are just too deep for people to do it alone. And that comment really struck me and really stayed with me, because this is what I believe, that people want to fight for themselves, for their families, and for their friends. And people want to overcome their hardships, but some pits are just too deep to do it alone. And I'm honored to be welcomed into the McShin community because they understand just that people facing unimaginable challenges need help and someone to give them their first boost as they fight and crawl and falter when climbing out of the pit. And I want to go to Congress because I believe that the federal government has a place in helping people and communities when the pit is just a little too deep. Because when given a boost and the support of a community, people can achieve incredible things like sustained recovery. And it's organizations and people like the honorees tonight that have shown what is possible. So thank you for inviting me to participate in tonight's event. Thank you for welcoming me into this community. And thank you so very much for all of the lessons that you have taught me.
Now what we're going to do this time, it gets kind of interesting. We're going to go through our awards, and then we're going to have the main award. But we ask our board members to come up at this time, because when we present awards, we do it as a board of directors. So the board of directors, please come forward quietly. We just line up right here. This is the finest board of directors ever assembled in the great state of Virginia. The process began summer 2004. And this looks like a board you like to be on. No, Sheriff, we don't let sheriffs on. Most of our board of directors is people in long-term recovery from substance use disorders. We do let some non-addicts on it. They usually addicted to an addict, though. That's good. Well, maybe you can name off your award with us, or thing, and then come down the line.
Okay. So this year we have a new award. Unfortunately, we lost one of our best volunteers we've ever had. Passed away this year. His name was Bob Gray, so we miss him tremendously. So moving forward, there will always be a Bob Gray Volunteer Award at the McShin Foundation. He is one of the longest volunteers we had. He spent countless hours just trying to help people every single day. So for the first award, the Bob Gray Volunteer Award, this fella comes in all the time. He is the sweetest man. His family was impacted by the disease of addiction. He comes and he takes the participants out on adventures and gets them out of the environment for a little while. He does their taxes, will help them do their taxes, and a whole list of things. So we would like to honor Robert Murphy. And this female is one of my best friends. She was actually volunteering at McShin the day that I walked through the doors. So we've been friends for a very long time. She has volunteered at McShin since then, so almost 11 years ago. And this year she's really stepped it up and done amazing things, at McShin and being able to help the participants on a day-to-day basis. So we would like to honor Kelli Todd.
You gotta go down the line.
special to me. You know, as most of you guys know, we hire within and we hire people that have been through our organization to the best of our ability. So this woman that gets the McShin Staff Member of the Year award is a huge part of my heart. She is a super amazing, strong woman, mommy, girlfriend, friend. She dealing with women every single day, you know, is a tough job, especially new women in recovery, man. And she earns every second, every inch of this award, and that's Erin Mayberry. So we have a few community service awards. We would like to thank Angela Gottwald for just diving right in. And Greg, we love Greg. Greg is her son. Stand up, Greg. Everyone knows Greg. Greg came into our life, and me and Alden liked pushing him around a little, so that was fun. Angela has been amazing to McShin, and being able to help, you know, the families is a very, very important part of what we do every single day. So we love Greg and Angela and her whole family. Thank you guys so much for giving Angela to us in her time. Next, Community Service Award is Jill Cichowicz. She had an amazing fundraiser for McShin. She just wants to learn. She texted me the other day and said, "Can I just follow you around?" I was like, "Sure." So amazing things that her and her family have done for McShin and for indigent participants that come through our program. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another one is Beverly and Herb Rueger. They couldn't make it tonight, so John can take a picture. We'll snap it to him, John. But thank them. They're always donate food, not to this event, but a lot of our events, they donate the food to our events. So if you can ever eat at City Diner, please go out there and get it. Okay, Greg McQuaid, would you like to come accept the award with the word?
Like that.
He's from the news, y'all. Okay, so we like to honor a couple alumni. So this individual actually, when she works for AmeriCorps, then she's a staff at McShin through them, but we wanted to give her an alumni award because before she started working there, she was there every single day the day that she got out of McShin, volunteering, giving people rides, dealing with what goes on in McShin every day. She's a trip too. I love her. She's an awesome addition to McShin Foundation. And with that, I give you Jillian Knight. And last, certainly not least, one of my best girlfriends in the whole wide universe. Like McShin gets so many amazing people in our lives, and you become like, you have actual like friends because of recovery. Not people that want something from you, but like true friendship. And this individual worked for McShin for a long time. He was a great recovery resource, and some of you get that. But, you know, but then he moved on, you know, we taught him how to be productive, we taught him how to be an amazing person because of recovery and just the lifestyle that he leads, and we just did the 10K together this weekend, and ladies, he is a catch. He is one of the most nicest, honest, loving men I've ever met in my entire life, and I'm truly honored to call Michael Quinn one of my BFFs.
Thanks.
All right, don't look at the mood. Every year in Virginia, we give out a national award for an organization that stands above and beyond what would be considered not only the call of duty, but really goes to an extraordinary length to reduce the impact addiction is having on our community. And historically, this award has gone to some really tremendous organizations. Captain Pritchard, Major Pritchard's here with Sheriff Leonard's office over in Chesapeake. Y'all got it last year, year before, I do believe. And it's not easy for an organization. I know the Major will attest to this, and I know the jail will attest to it. It ain't easy working with people like that. I mean, we are not a simple organization. And old Lieutenant Bowles over there, see, he gets all the crap from these. I quit calling him. I just go straight to Lieutenant Knack, but that's where it ends up anyways. And he said, John, you just have a way of, I don't know if it's embellishment or just make it sound. But this organization, I know they go above and beyond. I know they work hard to let us in there. They coordinate their energy and effort with us. I'm sure they don't get no overtime pay for this. And the impact has been incredible. Sheriff Wardy taught me a word, team, T-E-A-M. I heard it my whole life. But it didn't mean anything until the sheriff told me. He said, team, together, everybody achieves more. And you look at our staff, our supporters, the volunteers, the people participating in these organizations, when we come together and set our differences aside and we agree to help move our community forward, mountains are moved, dreams are awakened, miracles happen. And there's people in the room, it's your glory is going to come and helping other people. You've lost your loved one, you're not going to get your loved one back. Unfortunately, there's people in the room, you're going to lose your loved one. It's just the way this illness is. And as long as we have organizations like the Monkey Regional Jail Superintendent, these great staff, Major Hopkins, the colonels, the lieutenant, Officer Davis, we can do this thing, and we're doing it, and we're not going nowhere. So, from the bottom of my heart, me and my wife, Kelli, and the rest of us, we're so proud to present this award to you, and thank you so much for our collaboration. Thank you. Come on.
I really didn't want to hold the microphone because I don't know whether to speak or break into a karaoke song or what. I'm not the speaker that John is, but I'll do my best. I really want to thank everyone. Such an honor to accept this award, and as John has alluded to, it wouldn't be possible without the support of all my staff, my board. I have a terrific board that I report to. For the one who puts up with me at home, keeps me straight, my wife Crystal. I'd also like to give special thanks to Sheriff Hines. He and I have had many conversations. He's one of my board members as well. We've had many conversations about having a program that has an impact like this. So I'd like to thank you. Most of you may not know this about me, but I've been in the jail business for 21 years. And all of it has come through Monkey, which I've been very fortunate. I started there as an officer in 1998, and I was appointed superintendent in 2006. And I've seen a lot of things that I won't forget in those 21 years of working in the jail. But one thing that sticks out to me the most, and you've heard it here tonight actually, is as working on the floor as an officer, and in the intake area where you get to see everybody who comes in, everybody who's released. One thing that will always stick with me is the excitement that people had when they were leaving jail. You know, they were excited to go home to family, to friends. You know, I even remember them telling me, "I don't want to see you anymore, Willett. I'm getting out of here." And just a couple weeks later, or 2 months, they'd be right back. So I found myself asking them, you know, what? I thought you didn't want to come back here. You didn't want to see my face anymore. What happened? And just as you've heard tonight, you know, the common response was they didn't have the support structure they needed. They didn't have who they thought they had. The same family and same friends really couldn't provide them what they needed. And so they wound up giving in to temptation, and they wound up back in jail. So I had no idea some 19 years later I'd have an opportunity to put a program together at the Monkey that could truly make a difference. But one day I had an appointment on my calendar to meet John Shinholzer about a program. And no secret, even tonight, this guy walks in my office, United States Marine Corps hat, talking about this program that we had to have, and it was going to make a big difference. He preached about his success in Henrico, Richmond City, and being a resident of Hanover, we needed to have this in Pamunkey. And I'm glad to see that he put others on the spot, because I put John on the spot too. I said, look, Pamunkey definitely is on board. We want to have a program, but we just don't want to have any program. It has to be successful. So I told John that we'd let it get in, get this program going, but we were going to track this. We wanted to make sure that we were making a difference. So, you know, John said, let's do it. I mean, he's, like I said, hadn't backed down from anything yet. He's been, as he said, it's been really fun working with John over the years. But anyway, yeah, it's been something. Speaking of Major Hopkins, you know, every year we put together an annual report. And if you have a chance to go out there, it's on our website, click on the link. And it's just a tremendous amount of data of everything we do, you know, every day. It's those that are booked in, released, number of programs, how many transports, how many visits. I mean, it's just an overwhelming amount of data. And we've always had a page in there for programs. You know, we've always had AA, NA, Life Without a Crutch and everything, but we've never had a program quite like the McShin program. So I got with Major Hopkins and I asked her to do some research for us because I wanted to put a page in there that was specific to the McShin program. And I wanted to target the recidivism rate. So this was something that I'd asked John about. Like I said, putting him on the spot. You know, I'd asked him at the time, did you have this statistic? Can you tell me your success rate? And John, being honest, was, look, this is really hard to come by. There's a lot of time that goes into this, resources. They don't have access to certain data to be able to put a number out there for you. So I tasked that to Major Hopkins to find that number. So she went through every single person that has gone through the McShin program at Pamunkey, and she compared the recidivism rate to that of those who were incarcerated with us that had not. And of course, John and I have a difference in numbers, but still, a 22% reduction in recidivism from our standards is fantastic. So I had her then go one step further, and I wanted to compare those numbers, because just because you didn't come back to Pamunkey doesn't mean you didn't go back to jail. So I had her search the LIDS database, which is a statewide system, would let us know if they spend time anywhere else besides Pamunkey, whether it be Riker, Chesterfield, Richmond City, DOC, or wherever. So she spent, like I said, countless hours putting this up together, and of course, to our, actually not to our surprise at that point, the numbers were relatively the same. So our hats off to the McShin Foundation. When I was appointed superintendent in 2006, you know, you see facilities that have mission statements and vision statements, and our vision statement at the time was about that long, had all kinds of stuff in there about, you know, transitioning from local jails, coming to a regional jail, the logistics with transportation and how we're going to get along with the courts and do all those various things. But at that time, come 2006, we were in 1998 anymore. We had to put together a vision statement that meant what we were about then, and one that would stand the test of time and we could always stand behind. So no offense to anyone who uses famous quotes from people, because I do the same thing myself typically when I give speeches, but tonight I felt that I should include the vision statement as my closing quote. And this is what it says. This is hanging in our lobby at the jail now. It says, "It is the vision of the Pamunkey Regional Jail to be an organization that has a strong value system that recognizes the inherent worth of all human beings, respects and recognizes the needs of the community, and holds the belief that if they choose, offenders can change their lives." And I think that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James and Gail. We're almost there. You know, my wife's the co-founder of McShin, Carol and Dave. Me and her are both board members emeritus. Did I say that right? Emeritus. Emeritus. They make fun of the way I talk, you know? But they married me anyway. But as she walks up here to do the closing remarks, and we're done, you know, nobody works more tirelessly than Carol does in Washington, D.C. for the recovering community. Right now, moving through Congress, must be 20 bills that have authentic recovery support service provider language in it, embedded in these bills. And a lot of organizations all across America are going to benefit greatly when they apply for, you know, criminal justice grants, SAMHSA grants, state agency grants. They're going to see must be used for recovery support services, must be used for sober homes, must be used for detox provider diet, organizations that have recovery support services. It's got the most incredible language I've ever seen. And how many of these bills are going to get passed? It's going to be up to y'all, okay? She can't do everything. She doesn't have a client. She does all that work on her own time. Literally millions of dollars worth of government consultant work she does voluntarily for the recovery community nationwide. And it goes on sort of on her. Nobody knows she does it. I know she does it. But I'm up to midnight sometimes. You know, wondering if the hell is she doing up there in her office this late at night. But anyway, as been accustomed with McShin Banquet, Carol always comes up and says the last word, just in case I said something I wasn't supposed to. She can't. You know?
And for me, that means I've been alcohol and drug free for over 20 years. I help with a lot of people in this room. You know, John didn't say much tonight that I need to clean up, really. Maybe that I do have a gang client in recovery world, and it's called Facing Addiction. If you get a chance, go to their website, facingaddiction.org. There's a lot of the work that I'm doing. And also, I think you can do, you can look into, if you want to be supportive and reach out to your members of Congress, you can go on the McShin.org website, and there's ways that you can get involved as well. But I wanted to thank my husband, Honesty, and all the staff for all the work you do. I can't say thank you enough. There's a lot of, I may have my own swords to cross and battles to fight in Washington, but it's a whole different deal going day after day in the trenches and helping people with addiction. And, you know, like our speaker tonight said, you know, we all have talents, and those of you who have that talent to go back day after day after day and do this work that nobody's getting it's certainly not a get-rich-quick scheme to work in this field. And, you know, my hat is off to you for all of you, whether you're in treatment or recovery support, recovery housing, whether you're a clinician, you know, thank you, because it's been, you can have some days where it's thankless. And I'm just so glad to be able to play a small part in working on the laws that are passed. You know, I've come up here a lot of years, and I might have made a pitch about a law to make insurance companies pay for addiction like they do other medical conditions. And, you know, like John said this year, unfortunately, you know, there's a saying in Washington, it can be a little crass, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's really important that all of us take this in and do our part. You know, there's a saying in Washington that you never let a good tragedy go to waste. And many of you in here have living, breathing tragedies that you wake up with every single day that you've lost a loved one in your life to it. And I carry around the pictures of several of your people that are in this room to remind me on the bad days why in the world I am choosing to work in Washington, D.C. right now. It's a very interesting time. But I want to make sure before the end of my career that I have done everything I can possibly do to make sure that we make something good come out of this horrible, tragic loss of life that we've experienced in this country. And I've been doing this work for like 4 years straight now on the opioid epidemic. We got $7 billion set aside in one budget bill this year. Half of it is going to go to law enforcement, for those of you in law enforcement, and half is going to go to public health, treatment, prevention, and recovery. And how all that gets allocated as the stuff for those of us who live in the weeds is yet to be determined. But I will say, as John mentioned, more than ever, we have peer recovery support services as part of the solution. We are at the table, but we need your help to pull that all the way through. And one strategy alone, you know, just prevention isn't going to work, just treatment's not going to work, just recovery supports and criminal justice strategies alone won't work. We have to have it be a comprehensive package of things. And for those of you where, you know, writing a check isn't your thing, but you have the ability to send an email, please stay tuned to McShin's website, to Facing Addiction's website, because there are ways that you can engage and make a difference. And it's going to be a really important time. A lot of this is going to be decided before the end of the year. And you know, if you look around and go, well, I don't really like all that politics stuff, you know, that's somebody else's problem. That's been the problem in this country, is that it's always somebody else's job to work on addiction issues, right? Oh, you know, some big shot's going to do it, or Carol's a lobbyist, she'll do it. It doesn't work that way. This is a bottom-up issue. You can't just throw money at this issue. It has got, because there's so many other moneyed interests at play here who continue opioid, you know, manufacturers, certain health insurance that doesn't want to pay for our services. There's a lot of big moneyed interests that want to keep everything just the same because it's a money-making machine, folks. The opioid epidemic, people have made money off of it for years. And so if you want to make a difference, you have to get involved. And that means talking to your members of Congress, talking to your state legislators, talking to your board of supervisors, talking to people in the county, talking to your next door neighbor or the person at church to help destigmatize this illness. You know, I remember our daughter is here, Mary Page, you want to wave your hand? I can remember her telling me that, you know, somebody in this county didn't want their kids to spend the night with her. John and I were both in long-term recovery at the time because her parents were drug addicts. And we aim to make a community here that doesn't feel like that anymore, where we are wanted and desired as upstanding, influential, tax-paying, community check writing to various charities in this county, that we are recognized for the important and valued assets that we have as people in recovery, as families affected by recovery. And with all of your help, I know we're going to get there. Thank you so much.
Mary Page's friends growing up, they thought we were the coolest parents. They weren't going to get no drugs or alcohol out, but they could pretty much say what was on their mind, and we accepted for that. But before we do leave, I do want to thank, I see one of our couple, I guess they're deacons from Hatch Memorial Baptist Church. For those of you who don't know, McShin is anchored. We have a 15,000 square foot recovery center in the Baptist church. And we could have never done what we did if it wasn't for Hatcher. So we appreciate y'all letting us kind of squat there all these years. I don't think we really recognize Kyle Donnelly. Where you at, Kyle? I saw you in here. Kyle worked for for American Addiction Center. And for many years, they were one of our premier sponsors all these years. And now Bandage, our premier sponsor, we're very grateful for that. But I want to give a shout out for all the people that helped get us here over the years. So that concludes our event tonight. If I missed you, I apologize. If something I said you didn't like, see honesty, keep the secret.